Hi everyone, my name is Emma, this is Emma Rosen Books. Today is the launch day for my book. I don't believe it is not actually today, I'm filming this in advance. But you know, to you, today. Unless you're not watching this on the day the video comes out. So, maybe not today at all. Anyway, I'm putting this out on the release date of my book, which is Milk. I'm so excited, I can't believe it's coming out. And I thought it would be fun to talk about like the timeline of self-publishing this book, because I know that when I was starting out and thinking about self-publishing, I was looking at how long is this going to take, what am I going to have to do, and trying to kind of map out in my head how this was all going to work out. So that's what I'd like to do for you, is just go through the real life scenario. What did I do? What were the time scales? I hope I've included everything, or pretty much everything. So yeah. So I announced that I was going to self-publish my book on the 17th of April. I'll stick the video up there if you want to look back. I'd made the decision a little bit before then. I'd been researching it for a while. The traditional publishing route that I'd been pursuing hadn't worked out. I'd had a really long think about it and discussing with my husband how it was going to work. And so by the time I actually announced it on the 17th of April, I think it had probably been a couple of weeks since I'd decided that that was what I was going to do. The first step that I took, and I'm not talking about writing here, obviously we're taking the assumption that the book's already written at this point, and I'd spent a whole load of time researching, looking at other author tubers, looking at various blogs and websites and what have you, to get an idea of what I was going to have to do. And there are so many resources where you can get lists of what you need to do to self-publish and research in depth all of those bits and pieces. So I'd already done all of that, but beginning of April, before I put the announcement out, I'd started to contact editors, and I sort of tentatively emailed a few people. I'd researched people who I thought would be good for my book on the website SFEP, which is a society for editors and proofreaders, picked out a couple, contacted them, and went with the lady who has edited my book, whose name is Kim Kimber. She was absolutely brilliant. I'd work with her again in a heartbeat. I've made a video anyway about how to find an editor. So I was already in touch with Kim, and we were arranging when I was going to have the book copy edited and so forth. So I'd already started doing all of that. But if we're looking back, obviously all this starting in April and now it's October, so pretty much the timeline was 6 months. So as I say, that first month was kind of announcing it, getting my head around it. Kim started editing the book, and it was all finished in May, the first copy edit. And at the same time I was doing some businessy bits. So what did I do in May? Let's have a look. I've got my list. I haven't put my list in order, which was really intelligent. So other bits and pieces that I did, I'd already bought the URLs for my website, which by the way is www.emmarosenbooks.co.uk. So I bought that and the .com, they both forward to the same website, but I hadn't done anything with it, I just bought the domains. In May I then got WordPress attached to those domains and started building my website and researching how to do that. It took me some time to finish it, but gradually over time I've sort of added to it, and it is what it is now. And I also got email, so that I have a professional email. I felt that it was important, rather than having a Gmail or something, that I had, you know, one that's got my domain name in it. So I did all of that around May time. What I also did was set myself up as a limited company. I made a video about this as well. It seemed like the best way to obviously limit my assets and all of that, but also to copyright my brand of my publishing company, to copyright my name and all of that without actually paying for copywriting, because I'm a company. That means that that's all protected. So I did that, and because I work from home and I didn't have access to any kind of address I could use, what I did was I incorporated my company with Companies House through an external company where I use their address. So you essentially pay for like a brass plate. So if you look up my company, you'll see that I'm registered in London. I don't live in London. And it's a really great way of doing it if you're in the same position, that The only problem is I can't receive mail to my business address. However, it means that I have a business address I can use to protect my own address. And you just have to be careful, obviously, that when you're using it, it's not going to be somebody that wants to send you anything. So that worked really well. There's lots of companies that do that kind of thing. In America, I believe it's easier to use a PO box for that kind of thing, but in the UK there are rules around that you can't use a PO box for to incorporate a company. I think it's unless it's linked to a physical address or something like that. And actually PO boxes cost about £30 a month, and I don't have that kind of money, so you know, so that didn't work for me. But doing it this way of using this company that gave me their address worked really well. I also bought ISBNs. I bought 10 from Nielsen, and because to me, as someone who's self-publishing, I'm not going to be bringing out masses of books, so that should do me for now. If I suddenly decide to do something astronomical, then I'll buy more, but 10 should do me for a while. Let's have a look. Did I do anything else in May? No, I didn't. So that was kind of all the initial bits and pieces. Then June, I've talked about this before, June was a hellish month. I'd had my edits back, and as I was reading through them, and what a lot of editors do is they send you your edits in track changes on Word, and then you go through and see the changes that the editor's made and any comments they've made, and then you can go through and accept or decline and make further changes and send them back and that kind of thing. So I've been going through and doing that, and as I was reading through the text, I realised that there were certain parts of my book that weren't, that I'd taken all the in-text referencing out. I still had a reference list, but I'd taken out the bits in text, and I decided that actually it needed to be in text, otherwise it just wasn't, I was running the risk of being accused of plagiarism, and I didn't want to do that. So I made the decision to put the in-text referencing back. I've talked about this before. It was a hellish job because so much had changed that I couldn't just go back to an older version of the book, because originally it had been referenced in text. I couldn't just go back to an older version and put it all back in because things had moved around and I'd added things, and it was a mess. Anyway, so that was June. The whole of June was re-referencing, which put me back by a month. I wasn't expecting to be having to do all of that. But there we are. Now, the design work, I contacted 8 Little Pages following the review that Jenna Moresi did of them, and I thought it sounded good. I contacted some other people as well and got some quotes, but 8 Little Pages came out top. Now they, during June, were working on the front cover design, and the first round that they sent me, I didn't like the covers, so then I asked them to do it again. In the second round, I absolutely loved them. I loved every single one that they did, and that was when I then went for the cover that I have now. So yeah, beginning of July that happened, and I'll link up above my reaction to seeing those covers before I'd announced them. And then once the cover had been decided, they could then do all of the interior formatting and finish all that off and what have you. So middle of July, I then had all of the design work for the paperback to look at. So that went back to Kim, and she re-proofread, and she found some errors, which you know, they needed. I'm so glad I did another round of proofreading, because there were stupid things like misnumbering a couple of the references, or just little typos that we'd missed, or where I'd moved things around when I'd been editing them from when she'd done it before, and there were sort of new errors that she hadn't seen. So then what I did was I actually asked 8 Little Pages for the raw file back so that I could do the little tweaky changes, because they were such little, you know, or this comma needs to move, or, you know, little tiny things that if I'd have had to type out on page whatever, could you please do it? It was so much quicker for me to just say, can I have the file, I'll do it and I'll send it back to you, which is what I did. They then finalised everything, and I think they were totally done. So Kim finished her last proofread the beginning of August, and then I think all the files were finally everything done in the middle of August. So at this point I'm running a month behind where I wanted to be, pretty much, or a couple of weeks behind anyway, but it was still fine. So again, just to give you context, so started the process in April, this is now August, where are we? May, June, July, August, so 4 months in, and that's where I was at. I actually had, you know, the paperback sorted. Okay, so once the book was done, you know, I've got the files, I started uploading them to Ingram, so I've used Ingram Spark for my paperback. And there was a little bit of a debacle with the ebook because my original plan was to use Ingram, or was it? Yeah, it was, to use Ingram for everything, and I just could not get the files through. I had so many problems trying to get my ebook accepted, and in the end I gave up and I decided to use Draft2Digital. Now if you use Draft2Digital, they can do pre-orders but not through Amazon. So I was like, okay, I'll set it up separately with KDP. So that's what I did. So that my ebook would be through KDP for Amazon, through Draft2Digital for everybody else, so that I had wide distribution, and then Ingram would handle the paperback. And unfortunately, I misunderstood about Kindle Unlimited, and I just thought it was like an extra added bonus. I was like, yes, I'll sign up to that, that sounds great. You know, I'd love to have my book available so that people can go, oh, that sounds interesting, read a couple of pages and then say yes or no. I thought it would be a great way of getting people to look at my book. So yeah, I was well up for Kindle Unlimited, and it was only after I signed up to it that I realised that that was an exclusivity deal. I hadn't done my research on that, so be wary of that, which meant that I had to take my book down with Draft2Digital because my book is available exclusively through Kindle, which is fine, and I'm going to see how the 90-day contract goes and make a decision, and maybe I'll go back to wide distribution, maybe I won't, I don't know at this point. I messed up. It wasn't a bad mess up really, one of those things. Anyway, yeah, something to watch out for yourself. So that happened, book was all set up, available for pre-order, everywhere, all sorted, which I then announced, I'm not sure when, I'll stick a link, but the beginning of September, so this is, you know, about 6 weeks, a little bit more maybe, before the release date. By this point I'd seen the physical proof, and I'd ordered a stack of 50 books, which through Ingram, if you order 50 books within a certain amount of time, you get back the fees that you paid for the setup on Ingram, so that was really good. So I had these 50 books, and that was then when I started sending out ARCs. Now, I'd already been compiling lists of who I wanted to contact, but at this point, kind of beginning to mid-September, was when I started emailing people and saying, would you like an ARC, or contacting, you know, radio, podcast, TV, you know, anybody I could think of that might be interested, magazines, of course, and asking if they'd either like a copy or like to review it or like me to come along or any of that kind of stuff. And I've been ignored by a number of the people that I've contacted, but I've also had some really lovely responses. So that's what I've been working on since then, really, is sending out books and talking to people and sorting stuff out. And so that brings us to now. I think I've covered everything. Oh, one more thing I did in September, sorry, was I set up my business account. I hadn't done it up until then because you have to pay for business accounts, and I was going to use a personal bank account. And then it just all got too complicated because some people need business accounts and all of that, and it's the way you really should do it. And so I managed to get a good deal anyway on a business bank account where it's free for quite a long time. So I set up that and got that going. So I think that's kind of a good cover of all of the stuff that I did. Oh, maybe with the exception of things like I ordered promotional bookmarks and I ordered business cards. Oh, and I ordered one of those, I've got it here actually, card reader Ujimi flips, so that when I do events I can take card payments if somebody doesn't have cash, because I am planning to go to some events. So, you know, bits and pieces that I'll want so that I can set out a stand and all that stuff, particularly because on my launch day, which is today, when you're watching this video, that's exactly what I'm going to have, is a table with all my books out and what have you, and I want to be able to take payments if someone has forgotten their cash. So that's all organised. So then the book launch, like I said, is literally just a case of having my books out, bringing along some fancy, bubbly, non-alcoholic non-alcoholic soft drinks, that's the word I'm looking for, so that we can have like a celebration with a bit of fizz, even though it's the middle of the day and I'm holding the event at a breastfeeding group, so it, you know, with various things and business insurance and all of that kind of stuff, I don't really want to be, I can't really serve alcohol, so much as it'd be nice to have some Prosecco, we're not just gonna have a bit of soft drink fizz. So that gives you the journey over 6 months of everything I've done to bring this book out, and it has gone like that. I cannot believe it. I think in retrospect I probably would have given myself 9 months, just so that the times when it was really full on wouldn't have been quite such an emergency, because I'd have had a little bit more time to play with. I would have liked to have had everything set up way in advance so I could just really chill out. But I'm glad that I did give myself a little bit of extra time when I was planning out the timeline, how long I'd need. I did work in some extra time because I needed it. So that would be my advice when you're looking at when you want to schedule your book, is make sure that you've allowed yourself plenty of time in case something happens. There's just unforeseen stuff, things that don't work out, or things that get messed up or whatever that you've got to fix. You know, and life stuff too. So be kind to yourself, give yourself a bit of extra time. Bear in mind that traditional publishing companies, it takes well over a year to bring a book out. So don't worry about trying to rush it out as quickly as possible. Make sure that you've given yourself time. And as I said, in retrospect, 6 months was fine, but a little bit more maybe would have been a bit more relaxed. It's been fun. I hope that you found it useful to kind of learn what the timeline was and what I've done. As I said, I think I've covered everything that I did in that time. But yeah, I've gone from kind of thinking, well, the traditional route didn't work out, maybe I should give this self-publishing a go, to now being a business owner with a published book. And it's really nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time. I'm so worried people are going to hate it. I'm so excited people are going to love it. I'm really proud of myself for doing this, but I'm also slightly embarrassed that I've done this, because of the whole, I don't know, it's just not having a real job, I suppose. It's that thing of, I don't know. It's just imposter syndrome is what it is, but it's still awesome. And whatever projects you guys are working on, I hope that it all goes brilliantly for you. And if you have any questions, if there's anything, you know, that you wondered how I did something, or did I do this, did I do that, how did I, you know, please do ask it in the comments, or let me know if you did things differently, or what you've learnt along the way. It'd be really great if the comment section ends up just being a really helpful resource for people who are looking for, you know, what timeline to publish their book over. So yeah, anyway, please like if you did, please leave me a comment. I love reading all the comments from people. Subscribe if you would like to watch more videos about writing, and also about what I'm reading. I know it's been writing heavy at the moment, but I do love talking about the books that I've been reading, which, by the way, at the moment is this. So that will be on my wrap up, hopefully, as long as I finish it. Yeah, good. Well, thanks, and I'll see you all for the next one. Bye!